Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, or welcome if you are new to my channel. So, today's 1981 horror movie that we're going to take a look at as part of my 1980s horror series is one that I streamed on YouTube. I don't have the physical media for this movie. And it's a cannibal movie from 1981, and that movie is Cannibal Ferox, also known as Make Them Die Slowly in the US, also known as Woman from Deep River in Australia. So it goes under a few different titles. But yeah, Cannibal Ferox, and I'll just say up front that I can't help but compare this a little bit to Cannibal Holocaust, which of course I own, or I have the physical media for, and I've reviewed on my channel previously as part of the 1980s horror series. So even though they're two different movies, two different directors, the comparisons are kind of obvious. So I just want to throw that out there. But let's go ahead and get into the review for Cannibal Ferox. So Cannibal Ferox is a 1981 Italian cannibal exploitation horror film written and directed by Umberto Lenzi. Upon its release, the film's U.S. distributor claimed it was the most violent film ever made. Cannibal Ferox was also claimed to be banned in 31 countries, although this claim is dubious. The title derives from the Latin ferox, meaning cruel, wild, and ferocious. So basically, the film opens in Colombia. Siblings Rudy, Gloria, and their friend Pat prepare for a journey into the rainforest. They plan to prove Gloria's theory that cannibalism is a myth. The trio encounters a drug dealer named Mike and his business partner Joe. Joe is badly wounded. Mike explains that cannibals attack them. Gloria goes missing that night, and Rudy finds a native village while looking for her. Due to Joe's injuries, the travelers stay in the nearly deserted village. Mike seduces the naive Pat. In a cocaine-fueled rage, she encourages Pat to kill a native girl. She is unable to do it, so Mike kills the girl himself. In his dying moments, Joe reveals that he and Mike were responsible for the cannibals' aggression. They claim they came to the region to exploit the natives for emeralds and cocaine, taking advantage of their trust in the white man. One day, while high on cocaine, Mike brutally tortured and killed their native guide in full view of the tribe. A badly charred body, previously believed to be that to a different guide, is this native. Mike kidnapped a native girl to lead them out of the jungle, but the outsiders were followed and attacked. So that's kind of the setup, the premise in the beginning of Cannibal Ferox. As far as the cast goes, we have Giovanni Lombardo Radici as Mike Logan, Lorraine DeSalle as Gloria Davis, Danilo Matai as Rudy Davis, Zora Korova as Pat Johnson, Robert Kerman as Lieutenant Rizzo, Flamma Manglone as Myrna Sten, John Bartha as Brooklyn Mobster, and Valentino Valentini as Sergeant Ross. Gotta love Italian horror films and me trying to pronounce names. That's always a fun go. But so that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for Cannibal Ferox from 1981 by Umberto Lenzi. I enjoyed this movie, actually. I mean, I shouldn't say I enjoyed it, but it's a well-made movie. Much like Cannibal Holocaust, it's very hard to watch at certain parts of it. But that being said, there's an appreciation that I can have for this movie. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the things that I liked about Cannibal Ferox. And you got to start with the story or the premise here. I actually thought the reason for Westerners going here was a little bit more believable, a little bit more interesting, and the structure of the story in the movie was a little bit clearer, flowed a little bit better in this movie than like Cannibal Holocaust, for example. I like the back and forth between the Amazon and New York, and kind of how it intertwines with one of our main characters in the movie that we see in the Amazon here, but it has ties to New York and to mobsters. Yeah, I don't know. That just kind of all worked for me on watching this movie. Obviously, it's a first-time watch for me, and I don't know. It just kind of flowed a little bit better. So I enjoyed the arc and the story here. Speaking of that main character, who's Mike, played by Giovanni Lombardo Radici, is he's a character that's both infuriating, um, makes you angry, as well as also fun to watch because of how over the top and crazy the performance is by Radici. Despite the character being a complete douchebag, the way the character was written, I mean, he is just a complete douchebag. But at the same time, I kind of enjoyed watching Giovanni Lombardo's Radici's performance of this character. I'm not going to say he made the character likable, because certainly the character's not. But at the same time, I just thought the performance was a lot of fun, really over the top, really interesting in how he played him. I enjoy him as an actor, Giovanni Lombardo Radici. He's been in a few movies during this time, some that I've already reviewed on my channel. And I just thought that he played the character the best. Kind of played a character, he kind of knew the movie that he was in the best. And even though it is over the top as far as the performance goes, for this kind of movie, I think that that's okay, the way he played it. So, yeah, like I said, not a likable character, not a character you root for. In fact, you're kind of happy that he gets his comeuppance, as it turns out, towards the end of the movie. But I can't ignore the performance. The movie's going to have everything gorehounds want. Obviously, this movie has lots of blood, lots of gore, human flesh and organs being eaten right out of the body on screen. So it will definitely satisfy the cannibal gorehounds out there. Being too much for others, obviously. Cannibal movies aren't for everybody. They're not really my go-to subgenre, but yet I can still have an appreciation for them, as I do for this movie. But I just wanted to throw that out there, that if, this definitely has all the gore and all the on-screen kills and things that a gorehound's going to be looking for. One thing I do like about these movies, both this one and Cannibal Holocaust, is the Amazon tribe's only cannibalizing the outsiders after the outsiders go there and kind of act like they take over, like they can do whatever they want. The way they treat, they do destructive things to the tribal's community, as well as how they treat the tribal people. Obviously, more so in this movie. In Cannibal Holocaust, it was burning down their huts and things like that. In this movie, it's actually like torturing and murdering one of their tribal people to really set off the tribe's I guess the point I'm trying to make is the outsiders come in and they're kind of the lightning rod for the cannibalism that's going on here. It's not like they come there and the Amazon people are, looking to kill them right away. They're actually trying to be they're actually kind of appreciative to a certain extent. Like in Cannibal Holocaust, I know that there was some give and take, that they gave them some food and things like that in order to sort of learn about their culture and things. But I think the Westerners, I'm not going to call them just a white man, because I think that's a little bit, I'm going to say Westerners just for a more general term. But they come in there and they don't really have any respect for these tribal people, the way that they act, what they eat, kind of. They don't understand their cultures, therefore they kind of feel like they can just treat them like low-grade citizens or second-class citizens. And I think what this movie does a good job of is showing that, the Westerners that come in end up getting brutalized, tortured, and killed for the most part. They kind of bring it on themselves. Now, in this movie, it's really the character of Mike that brings it on these other characters. So while you enjoy seeing Mike get what's coming to him, it's kind of hard. These other characters are just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time and are associated with Mike, this character, to a certain extent. But I appreciate the fact that the movies kind of show that give and take, or that back and forth. And, they started it, and then then the tribal people kind of defend themselves and do what they have to do. They're enraged by what the Westerners do when they come in here. So from that standpoint, I think it's both compelling and sad, obviously, from a humanistic standpoint, that regardless of culture and upbringing and how civilized people are from a country, humans are really not as humane as we would like to believe, regardless of what country they live in. And I think this movie, as well as Cannibal Holocaust, do a really good job of bringing that across, so that it's not, when you watch these movies, it's not just, well, these Amazon people are really horrendous. They're very inhumane. who's really inhumane? I mean, it's Westerners are a lot of time, at least at the start. So hopefully that all makes sense what I'm trying to say there. But those are my pros for Cannibal Ferox from 1981. As far as cons go, just a second, I have to take a drink here. My throat's getting scratchy. As far as cons go, it's kind of the same as Cannibal Holocaust. More of a warning for people out there. This movie's not going to be for everybody. And to be warned of the real animal killings that are on screen in this movie, just like Cannibal Holocaust, which actually I think there may be more in this movie, because not only do you get humans or tribal people killing animals on screen for real, you also get scenes of animals killing other animals in this movie, which I don't know if Cannibal Holocaust had that. At least not as much of it. I noticed it a lot more in this movie. But it almost feels a bit more unnecessary as well in this movie, because Cannibal Holocaust, well, it was very graphic and gross and hard to watch. It was more of a found footage kind of shot movie. So you can kind of justify it a little bit that they were trying to make it a more realistic movie as far as what they were seeing or what they were shooting. But of course, this movie is more of a, we know it's a movie, so really they're doing it just for shock value. All these animal killings on screen, both by other animals as well as people. And that's very hard to watch. I had to turn away a few times in this movie, even more so than Cannibal Holocaust, which was also very hard to watch. But just know that going in, that there are real animal killings on screen that are just brutal, very graphic, hard to watch. So just know that going in. And I was bothered by it, I would say, a little bit more with this movie, even than Cannibal Holocaust. The acting overall is typical of one of these cannibal movies. Not great, over the top. And of course, it's not helped as these movies are dubbed. Obviously, the language is Italian. But they dub it to English. And it doesn't work all that well. But other than Giovanni Lamberto Radici, I didn't think any of the acting outside of that was... It's all pretty over the top and not great, as you can imagine. The characters are nothing to write home about, other than Mike, who's, again, is probably the only character that has a little bit of black, not black and white, but gray to him, as far as being a horrible human being that really sets off the fireworks of this movie. But at the same time, it's still hard to watch him get certain body parts chopped off. But the other characters, there's just not really a lot there. I mean, I guess the brother and the sister, played by Danilo Matai and Lorraine DeSalle, who play Gloria and Rudy, are probably the two that we'd like to see him get out of it a little bit more than the others. But at the same time, there's really nothing there to grab onto as far as their characters, or really feel all that bad for them. Even though we understand why they're there, and they were trying to act more humane to the Amazon people. So, you hate to see them get they don't really have comeuppance to get that they should be getting, but they do because they're with the wrong people. So yeah, characters not great. As I said before, not having the found footage aspect of Cannibal Ferox that you had in Cannibal Holocaust, where this is more of a straight-up normal shot movie, I think it takes away from the realism and the believability that Cannibal Holocaust has, especially as it relates to some of those animal deaths, even though it still doesn't completely justify killing animals on screen for real. The fact that it's supposed to be found footage, you can kind of get behind it a little bit more, at least I can, and here it's just for shock value. There's really no reason to show that, and obviously those scenes of the animals killings, especially the ones where it's animal murder, if you will, are really just there for shock value. They don't add anything to the movie, so know that going in. Also, I don't think the music or the score is anywhere near as good in this movie as Cannibal Holocaust. Not as effective as a result overall as a movie. They've got some, when they go to the New York scenes, you get 70s porno music that comes on. But one of the great things about Cannibal Holocaust is that music in the background, whether they're at the Amazon or in New York. And it's just very, very engaging, very kind of beautiful, even though the movie's not necessarily beautiful. This movie doesn't have that, so that was a big miss here. But I don't know. Other than that, I mean, Cannibal Ferox, I can understand. It's a well-made movie. I can appreciate what Umberto Lenzi did here, even though I think some of it was unnecessary, more so than Cannibal Holocaust, even, and it is missing those aspects like the music and the score. That's the big one. But overall, I can't deny that this movie has some merit to it, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. As far as the Cannibal movie goes, I think this is a pretty well-made one. Not as good as Cannibal Holocaust for my money. Not as rewatchable. But I'm going to give Cannibal Ferox an 8 out of 10. So go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen Cannibal Ferox, what you think of it from 1981 by Umberto Lenzi. Do you like it more or less than I do? Comment down below. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this 1980s series, specifically 1981. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my other great horror content that I have coming up over the rest of the years. So, with all that being said, this is a long review, I know. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you're enjoying this review series. Hope you're doing well. But as always, stay scared. Bye.